I saw my ex's mom left alone on a blind date, then I sat next to her and did the unthinkable. I still remember the exact second my phone buzzed with a notification I almost ignored, because if I had, none of this would have happened. It was raining outside, the kind of quiet rain that makes the world feel smaller, and I was killing time in a cafe I never went to anymore, the same one my ex used to love. I looked up from my coffee, bored, distracted, emotionally numb, and that's when I saw her. Sitting alone at a table meant for two. Nervously adjusting her scarf. Checking her phone again and again. My ex's mother. And the look on her face told me this wasn't just an awkward blind date. It was something much sadder. I didn't know it yet, but the next decision I made would change her life, and mine, forever. Stay with me, because what I did next is something I never thought I was capable of doing. I hadn't seen her in almost 2 years. Not since the night my relationship with her daughter ended in a way that still sat heavy in my chest. Back then, her mom had been warm, gentle, the kind of woman who remembered small things about you and made you feel like you mattered. Seeing her now, older, thinner, eyes carrying a quiet exhaustion, hit me harder than I expected. She was dressed carefully, like she'd tried to look nice. A simple blue dress, neatly pressed, hair tied back with effort. This wasn't a casual outing. This mattered to her. I watched from my seat near the window as minutes passed. 10. 15. 20. Each minute seemed to weigh on her shoulders. She smiled politely at the waiter, pretending everything was fine, but I could tell. She'd been stood up. Or worse, forgotten. People around her laughed, couples leaned into each other, the cafe hummed with life, and she sat there shrinking into herself. I felt something tighten inside my chest. I told myself it wasn't my place. I was her daughter's ex. I had no right to interfere. But then she wiped at her eye quickly, thinking no one saw, and that was it. I couldn't sit there anymore. I stood up before I could overthink it. Every step toward her table felt heavier than the last. My heart was pounding like I was about to confess a crime. She looked up, startled at first, then confused. And then recognition slowly spread across her face. "Oh," she said softly. "It's you." I smiled, awkward and unsure. "Hi. I hope this isn't weird, but may I?" I gestured to the empty chair across from her. For a moment, she hesitated. I could see 100 thoughts passing through her eyes. Then she nodded. "Please." I sat down. The chair felt too close, too intimate, but also exactly right. Up close, I noticed how tired she looked. The fine lines around her eyes, the way her hands trembled slightly as she folded them together. "I didn't expect to see you here," she said. "Same," I replied honestly. I was just passing time. There was an uncomfortable pause. Then she gave a small, embarrassed laugh. "Looks like I have a talent for choosing the wrong people to meet." Something in her voice broke me a little. "I'm sorry," I said. "Did he?" "He hasn't shown up," she finished for me. "It's been 40 minutes. I wanted to say something comforting, something wise. Instead, the words that came out were simple and reckless and completely unplanned. "If you'd like," I said, "we could pretend this was planned. Just for today." She stared at me. "Pretend?" "Yeah," I said. "Pretend I'm the blind date. No expectations. Just coffee. No one deserves to sit alone like that." Her eyes softened, and for the first time since I'd arrived, she truly smiled. It wasn't big or flashy. It was grateful. "That's very kind of you." That was the moment everything shifted. We talked. At first, carefully. Safe topics. The weather. The cafe. How long it had been since we'd last seen each other. Then slowly, the walls came down. She told me about how lonely the house felt now that her daughter had moved away. About how her husband had passed years ago and how she'd finally worked up the courage to try dating again. "I was so nervous," she admitted. "I spent an hour choosing this dress. My chest ached." "You look lovely," I said, and meant it. She laughed, brushing it off, but I could tell the compliment mattered. We ordered pastries. Another round of coffee. Time slipped by unnoticed. People came and went. The rain outside stopped. And somewhere between her stories and my listening, something unexpected happened. The loneliness in her eyes faded. She sat up straighter. She looked seen, then she said something that stunned me. "You know," she said quietly, "when my daughter and you broke up, I worried about you." I looked at her, surprised. "You did?" She nodded. She was angry. Hurt. "But I always thought you were a good man." I hated how it ended. The words hit me like a wave. No one had ever said that to me. Not then. Not now. My throat tightened. "Thank you," I managed. "That means more than you know." We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then she glanced at the door, instinctively, as if still half expecting someone to walk in. Her shoulders slumped when no one did. "You don't have to stay," she said softly. "You've already done more than enough." I shook my head. "I want to." And I meant it. That was the unthinkable part. Not just sitting next to her. Not pretending to be her date. But realizing that, in that moment, I wanted to be exactly where I was. As evening approached, the cafe lights grew warmer. She checked her phone one last time, then sighed. "I suppose that's my answer." I hesitated, then said, "How about dinner?" She blinked. "Dinner?" "Yeah," I said, heart racing again. "As friends. Or whatever you're comfortable with. There's a nice place down the street." She studied my face, searching for something: pity, obligation, awkwardness. She must have seen none of it, because she smiled again, this time with a spark of excitement. "I'd like that." And that's where you might think the story ends. A kind gesture. A sweet moment. But it doesn't. Because what happened next challenged everything I believed about boundaries, about love, about doing what's expected versus what's right. And if you think sitting next to her was unthinkable, wait until you hear what that dinner led to. The next morning, I woke up with a strange mix of peace and panic twisting in my stomach. The kind you feel when something meaningful has happened, but you're not sure the world will approve. Our dinner had stretched into a long walk, and that walk had turned into conversations so deep and honest that I forgot who I was supposed to be in her life. Or who she was supposed to be in mine. She wasn't just my ex's mom anymore. She was a woman with fears, hopes, regrets, and a quiet strength that humbled me. We started meeting for coffee after that. Then lunches. Always in public. Always careful. But emotions don't listen to rules. She laughed more. I noticed the way she dressed with new confidence. She told me she felt alive again, not invisible. And somewhere along the way, I realized I felt the same. The real challenge came the day she told her daughter. She called me afterward, her voice shaking. "She's furious," she said. "She says I've betrayed her." Guilt slammed into me like a wall. "I never wanted to hurt her," I said. "Or you." "I know," she replied. But life doesn't always wait for perfect timing. Weeks of silence followed. Judgment from others. Awkward stares. Whispered assumptions. I questioned myself constantly. Was this selfish? Was this wrong? But every time I looked at her, really looked, I saw a woman who had spent years putting everyone else first. A woman who deserved happiness, even if it came from an unexpected place. Eventually, her daughter reached out. Not with forgiveness. Not at first. But with questions. Then conversations. Then tears. Healing was slow, painful, and honest. It didn't end like a movie. It ended like real life does, with understanding earned the hard way. Today, when I think back to that rainy afternoon, I realize something important. Sometimes the unthinkable isn't wrong. Sometimes it's just unfamiliar. Sometimes, sitting down at the wrong table leads you to the right place. If you're still here, maybe you felt that pull too, the moment where your heart tells you one thing and the world tells you another. My story isn't about breaking rules. It's about seeing people. About choosing kindness when it's uncomfortable. And about how one simple decision, to sit down, can change everything. If this story touched you, stay with me, because sometimes the most unexpected choices carry the most beautiful endings.